Warning, the footage you're about to see was a live reenactment upon watching Deadpool and Wolverine for the first time, and it gets pretty loud. So just make sure to turn down your volume for just a little bit, and make sure I have a great time as well. Alright, are you ready? Video commences in 3, 2, 1.
What's the wind resistance on those blowjob handles? Maximum effort.
A few moments later. The next day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering the commentary segment of this video. From here on out, I will be going to break down the materials and processes that I went through to get this mask looking proper for Halloween. I used 400 to 600 grit sandpaper, 220 grit sandpaper, and a medium grit sponge. I used 3 main spray paints, Color Shot Gray for the first coat, Rust-Oleum Metallic for the second one, and Rust-Oleum True Navy for the third coat. I also chose the macabre blue for a little bit of extra shading on the wings, though I recommend using acrylic paints for the shading instead, or an airbrush if you have the laying around. That might be the best option. I chose the golden sunshine spray paint, so that the helmet could go from this to this. I did this because the colors from my textured Wolverine costume, which is from white cheap leather, are much closer to the yellows from the spray paint in comparison to the raw print. Attached are the acrylic paints that are used to weather the fabric of the mask and the fins. I'd like to mention that you don't need to use these particular paints, it's just what I had laying around. I'd also like to report that the black paint doesn't look glossy, at least when it is watered down. Anyways, I mixed this gloss black paint with nutmeg brown acrylic paint, heavily watered it down, and with the brush, I dabbed the paint on the textured fabric as to not only resemble the seams of the mask, but to weather them. Speaking of textured fabric, this is the textured fabric that I used. I bought a yard of sunflower yellow / bullet to Liverpool fabric. While the texture of the Liverpool fabric isn't exactly the same as that of the textured Wolverine costume, it provides for a more screen-accurate look in my opinion. And it is a slightly cheaper alternative for a yard of the fabric that was used to make the costume. I'll also say that the texture is what really sells the screen-accurate look to the mask. So make sure to find a way to get the texture on it if you're striving for screen accuracy. Phase 2. Sending. Everyone's favorite part. Now, in all honesty, I don't want to bore you guys with the details. It's pretty repetitive, and I've spent too long working on the script already. However, I will give credit to where credit is due. I'd like to shout out Trey Evesman.
Shout out.
For providing the sending methods. Not only was it easy, but it also came out super smooth. As you can see here. Wow, check that out. Thanks, man. Once the fins were painted, they look something like this. Phase 3 is now in effect. Next up, the mask. From what I can tell, the mask in the movie is made out of a shell covered in fabric. This behind the scenes photo seems to prove that. And as you can probably tell, this is an Instagram post from the user named Seb4Chuff. Shout out! Seb was invited to the set of Deadpool and Wolverine after life-saving surgery. Once again, shout out to you, broski. Anyways, this is the look that I sought to replicate. Once that was done, I would simply place the fins on top of the mask with magnets on it, or something. And I won't lie, it was easier said than done, covering the mask with fabric, but I eventually got it. There were a couple of bumps on the road, but overall, everything seemed to be going good. That was until I put it on. When it went over my head, I was appalled by what my eyes had witnessed. It looked so bad and so derpy that I refused to move forward with it. I didn't even want to wear the mask, so I scrapped it. I was in a bit of a pickle. Halloween was fast approaching, and I was essentially back at square zero. What was there for me to do? Then it dawned on me. I was still carrying around that Wolverine mask. What mask, you ask? The one that was made by Lambeaux, of course. Shout out. He sells 3D printed props, and he's a great guy to deal with, especially if you're in Louisiana. Thanks to him, I had a mask I could wear for the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. Thanks again, broski. And I wore it again, in a costume contest not too long ago. The only difference this time around was that I had fashioned a balaclava, one that I could wear under the mask. This gave it the illusion that it was a part of the helmet, even though I meant for it to go under the fabric. This wouldn't have been made possible if it wasn't for PSM on YouTube, which I'll shout out for the making of this balaclava. In the tutorial, he provided a template, and all I did was just scaled it accordingly to fit my head. So I yanked that balaclava out and used it for my Vector D mask. And with the spare fabric I had laying around, I covered the helmet with it. Again, this was easier said than done, but I managed. Everything was coming together. I ditched the magnets and referred to using super hot glue for applying the fins to the mask. And when I mean hot, I mean super hot, like the type to give you 3rd-degree burns just by staring at it. So at this point, everything is done. We've painted the helmet, covered it with the hot glue and textured fabric, sanded the fins, weathered them, placed the lenses, which I covered with some plastic that I had laying around. Just give them a little shine. I know it wasn't necessary, but I liked it. Wait! Time! We're missing something.
What is it?
The chin piece. I borrowed that from the other mask.
Few moments later.
A little bit of elastic here, a little bit of krypton here, a little bit of tape here. Some more of this. Alright, I think we're actually done now. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the big reveal. Drop the curtain. Oh man, what an ending. Makes someone wanna cry, doesn't it? I hate goodbyes. It's been a wild ride, but it's one that I will never forget. Thanks for sticking around, giblets. Till next time. Oh, thought it was over. Nah. Well, now that you're here, what should we do next? I was thinking of giving another shot at that Wolverine mask. Perhaps this costume? Or this one? I'd love to do this one. Maybe Daredevil. Or Spider-Man. I don't know. I'll let you decide. Alright, you can get on now. Choo-choo. You know, I almost forgot. Like, subscribe, you know, the usual. Alright, I think that does it. Bye-bye.